Look guys, finally the squirrels didn't get all my peaches. This is my second one. There's like 6 peaches on here they didn't get this year. Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make marinara sauce. Take all your ugly tomatoes if you have homegrown tomatoes. So you can get them grown yourself, get them from other places. Sometimes you can get it at a deal, but I'm going to show you how to take this. And I have a mixture of tomatoes today, not just one type. A lot of people tell you just have to use one type, aromas or a paste tomato. That's not true. A mixture of tomatoes, and I found that the mixture actually gives it a better flavor. It just takes a little bit longer to cook down, and I'll show you all that in the video, but let's get to it. Alright guys, so this is what you'll need for marinara. I have about 25 to 27 pounds of tomatoes. Now I have different varieties. I have San Marzanos and Romas mixed in here. And then I also have some different, they're called Italians. They're paste tomatoes that are bigger. And then I also have regular ones just mixed in here. They're not all paste. Now, usually you want to use paste because they cook down faster. They have less water content, but it doesn't bother me to mix them because it has a better flavor. Way better than just Romas or San Marzanos by themselves. So I have some black Krim and Cherokee Purple mixed in here. I also have a variety called Purple Rain. All these came out of my garden and they're ready. Now I have about a head and a half of garlic busted. You don't have to put that much garlic in. We just really like garlic. So you could do 6 to 7 cloves if you didn't want to put that much garlic in, but I really like garlic. I have 2 medium-sized onions, citric acid. Then I have salt and pepper. And now if you have these fresh, and I do have some basil fresh, so I might use some fresh basil. But I also have dried basil. I have purple basil that I dried last year. That tastes really good. We're going to use that, regular basil, oregano, and parsley. This is everything you'll need. You can, instead of citric acid, you could use lemon juice, and I'll put it in the description of how much you need to use. I'm going to be using pints. I'm not doing quart jars, but I'll give you all the measurements for this, but I was just showing you everything you need for marinara. Another thing you're going to need is a food mill, or you can process this yourself. It will take longer without a food mill. You can have an attachment for your KitchenAid, or you can buy the hand crank one off of Amazon. I bought this off of Amazon. It wasn't badly priced. I think it was like 20 bucks. It comes with 3 different size grates for the bottom that you can change out depending on what you're doing. This will make it go a whole lot faster because I'm going to take all the tomatoes and cut them into pieces once I take off the stems, and just leave them whole and put them in a pot to cook down, and then I'm going to run it through my food mill, okay? But this will be easier than any other way of doing it. If you don't have a food mill, get one. They make things a lot faster. Otherwise, you're going to have to peel all the skins off by boiling them. Peel the skin off, core it, cut it into pieces, and then you're going to have to boil it down, and then you would have to put it through a sieve, and it just takes way too long. Trust me, it's not worth it. This makes life a whole lot easier. Okay, I took my onions and my garlic and I just chopped them up in my food processor. They are going to cook down with the tomatoes. Now the tomatoes, what I'm going to do is if they have really big cores or bad spots, I'm going to take the bad spots out and the cores. But otherwise, I'm just going to chop them up into pieces. Remember, I have a mixture of tomatoes in here, and this is one of the Italians. It's more of a paste. It's just a bigger paste. It's kind of like a mixed. So there's no bad spots on it anywhere. So I'm just going to cut it. into really big chunks, okay? Really huge chunks. And I'm going to put them in my pot and just keep going with all the tomatoes, and make sure you check for bad spots. If they do have any, cut them out. Okay guys, sometimes, this is a really big stock pot. Sometimes you can't fit it all in, so once I get about 3/4 of the way full, I'll put it on the eye and start cooking it on medium and let it cook down some before I throw the other tomatoes in, because I still have more. I have all of these and the ones I just cut now. When I said I core them, I only core the big ones that have really big cores. Otherwise, I just cut them in half because this is tiny little core. It's not a big deal. So I didn't core any of these because there's nothing really to core. And I just cut them in half. And once that cooks down, I'll throw this in. And I'm not going to put in the garlic or the onion until it cooks down some, because I have to be able to stir it, and there's a lot in here and it's hard to stir. I have a really long spoon. If you've watched my other videos, it's called my witch's spoon. Just because it's humongous. But you can hear it starting to bubble at the bottom. Make sure you stir it so it doesn't scorch. Okay, it's cooked down some, so I threw in the onions and the garlic, and I'm going to start throwing this into and letting it cook down more. It's going to get really soupy and watery. It's starting to around the rim. But I got all of my spices put together for the marinara. Now I'm going to just use dried today. I do have fresh, but I'm just going to use the dried because I'm not going to go outside and get it and wash it and everything. So I'm just going to use the dried, but you could use fresh. This is a big batch marinara, so I put in 1.5 tablespoons of salt. I have kosher salt. You could use sea salt. I did 1 tablespoon of basil, and I broke it up between the regular green basil, and then the purple basil that I grew and dried last year. But you don't have to do that. I just have that on hand. The purple basil, by the way, has a stronger flavor, but you can see it's beautiful inside the spices. So just a tablespoon of the basil, 2 teaspoons parsley, 2 teaspoons oregano, and 1 teaspoon pepper. So I'm not going to throw that in yet. A lot of people throw it in when it's starting to cook, but I'm going to throw it in after I put all my tomatoes through the mill. Alright, so I got all the tomatoes in here. And you can see I put the onions and the garlic in, and I'm just stirring it around. You can see it's starting to boil. See the skins? Just let that keep cooking. I'm going to let it cook for about 15 minutes more before I put it in the food mill. And I have another bowl that I'm going to use the mill over to get all the seeds and skin out. Alright, sorry about the noise in the background. My dishwasher's going. So I got a pot, and this food mill actually has feet to sit over a pot, and I'm going to put scoop out the tomato mixture, put it in here, and run it through my mill. This is the one I have on, and then once I run it through there and this gets full, I'm going to dump it in this pot and keep going until I can clean this pot out, and then I'm going to wash this pot out and then put everything back in this one to simmer. And this is the one that's going to simmer in for about 4 to 5 hours, depending on how long it takes. Alright, I just got a measuring cup, and I scooped some out and put it in. Now, the juice is going to run out of the bottom, which is not a big deal. So I'm going to do two of those, and I'll turn it here to the side. Just sit here. And you just keep turning until it's all out of here. You can see that it's starting to smash everything up, and all that's going to be left in here is the skins and the seeds. Sometimes I go back because it helps it get in there. It's not all stuck on the side. just keep going, and it's going to look really watery, and that's okay because we're going to reduce this down. When you're doing the mill, sometimes it gets clogged and you have to clean this out inside. But also at the bottom, you see all that? You want all that. So you knock it off into the pot. This is what's going to help thicken up your marinara, okay? We want all of that. And you keep working this down, and you'll have to clean it out every now and then because it does get clogged. Okay, finally got them all through the mill. Now there is a seed or two in here that got through, you can see, but not a ton. It's not a big deal. We're going to cook this down. I know it looks really watery and soupy, and it's going to. But here's all my spices that I'm going to be throwing in here, and I have it on medium-high. I'm going to throw these in, and I will adjust this later if I need to add more spices. And just stir it in. And we're going to let this cook. Once it starts boiling, I'm going to bring it up to a boil, and then after I bring it to a boil, I'm going to reduce it to the heat to about medium, and I'm going to let it sit here. And this sucker is going to boil for about 4 hours, and you're going to let it sit, and you're just going to randomly check it and stir it to make sure it's not stuck or scorched on the bottom, but otherwise you're going to leave it to reduce by half. So this pot is about right here. I'm going to make it reduce all the way down to here, and that's what's going to thicken up this marinara sauce. Okay, you can see how dark it's getting, one, but also it used to be up here, and it's going all the way down here. Now I still have to reduce it even more. That's what makes it thick. It's the same thing when you're making tomato paste. You're reducing all the water out. It smells really good in here, but I'm going to keep letting it cook. I know you can't see it well because it's so far down and it's darkened a lot, but it's right below half and it's thicker. Let's see if I can pull some up. See? The more you let it cook down, the thicker it's going to get. And that's about the consistency that I want it to be. So at this time I'm going to get all my jars ready. Remember, have your jars washed and everything. Have them in water. I'm starting to warm these up. And then make sure you have all your canning station stuff. And then also the citric acid, or you can use lemon juice or the citric acid. You're going to use a 1/4 of a teaspoon in each jar that you put the marinara in. And I'm going to be leaving, I think it's a 1/2 inch headspace. Okay, so I have everything laid out. I just pulled 4 jars out. I'm going to put a 1/4 of a teaspoon of citric acid at the bottom. You don't want this to come back up at you. Okay. Have your bands and lids and everything ready to go. Then I'm going to just scoop some out. Remember, we're leaving a 1/2 inch headspace. Sorry it got dark in here, it's storming. I'm sorry I'm talking like a robot, but I'm getting over being sick. And just fill them up. I don't know how many I was going to get out of this because it was a lot of tomatoes. And you have to check the headspace. Make sure you have your headspace tool. Remember, mine's all messed up. So 1/2 inch, if it's over a half, don't worry about it, just take some out. It's not a big deal. Just make sure it's a half. Some of these need a little bit more. Okay. Remember, I have my vinegar solution back here. It's just vinegar and hot water. And we're going to wipe the rims. Make sure you get them really good. See? I just pulled off that one. Remember, when you put your bands on, you need to do fingertip tight. Don't do tighter than that. Remember, we're leaving a 1/2 inch headspace on these. Don't wrench them down. Otherwise, your lids will buckle. Fingertip tight. Keep going, put these back in the canner and get all the other jars that you have, and I'll let you know how many jars mine did. Okay, got it all in there. I'm about to put the lid on, but I wanted to show you how many I got out of that. 25 to 27 pounds of tomatoes. There is 8 pints and 2 half pints. But I couldn't fit the other half pint in here, so I'll just stick it in my fridge. And that way we can use it. But this is going to be, once this comes to a boil, so put your lid on, let it come to a boil, and then it's going to process for 35 minutes. Okay, it's at a rolling boil, 35 minutes. Alright, the 35 minutes is up. I let them sit for 5 minutes. And what I'm going to do is take them out. Don't tip them. Okay, oh, look how pretty it is. And I'm going to put it right here, put them all right here, and leave them there until tomorrow afternoon. Alright guys, it's been a couple days. Just wanted to show you the marinara. Turned out good. Now if you wanted it thicker than what I did it, you're more than welcome to let it cook longer. But if you make it too thick, it ends up like paste. So everybody's different. They like it a different way, but this is how many I got. I've obviously made salsa afterwards. See the color difference. But this actually turned out very beautiful. And I use this just in place of spaghetti sauce sometimes, and then I also put it in when we make zucchini boats. Instead of tomato sauce, I'll use the marinara sauce because it tastes better, but it's easy. It just takes a long time. So if you want to make marinara sauce, it's just a long process, and you just have to have about 6 hours. Now, so depending on the type of tomatoes you use, if you use more of the paste tomatoes, it will reduce down faster. So yours will, you won't have to do the full 4 hours. If you use a lot of regular tomatoes that have a lot of juice in them, it's going to take take longer than 4 hours. So it just depends. That's why I do a mix. Mine took about 3.5 hours, and then it was ready to can. Not too bad for marinara sauce. Now I have some for winter. I don't know if I'm going to get another batch done this year, but my kids love this when we use it in our food during the winter, and it tastes great. Alright guys, so it's easy. Making marinara is not hard. It just takes a long time, depending on the tomato, variety of tomatoes that you have. But it's not too bad if you have a rainy day, like it was raining when I was doing it. We were staying in anyways, and I made some delicious marinara sauce. Check your local farmers markets or grocery stores for deals on tomatoes that you can make it yourself. Trust me, it's worth it. It tastes way better than the store-bought. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.